I'm Deborah Ross, publisher of KidsOutAndAbout.com, here today for Smart Kids on Demand. Today, we're speaking with Chris LoCurto, a business and leadership expert who's going to talk to kids and parents about starting a business and thinking like an entrepreneur. And for this interview, I'm actually going to turn the microphone over to my 13-year-old daughter, Ella, who's got some questions for Chris.
Hi, Chris, and welcome to Smart Kids on Demand.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
So, could you tell us what you do and exactly what an entrepreneur is?
Absolutely. I like to spend my days on the beach, and I help people explode their business. So I'll take business owners that might have a active business that they need to know, what do I do with this thing? Most entrepreneurs don't know what to, they know how to make a widget and sell a widget, and they don't understand the growth side of it. And I help people in leadership roles, whether it be entrepreneurs, CEOs, team leaders, or even team members, just learn how to do a lot more with leadership, what leadership is really all about, and how to be very successful at it. As far as what is an entrepreneur, in my mind, it is somebody who is willing to take the risk to jump out and start a business of some form. And what it should be is something that helps people. If you can help people through your business will absolutely grow.
Mm-hmm. And how would you suggest, kids start to try to be an entrepreneur when they're young? Because a kid can't exactly start a business.
Yeah, you can, actually. You do need some help in that process. First thing is you got to make the decision that that's what you want to do. For me, ever since I was young, I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was younger than you are, I just knew it. I knew that was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to own a business. I wanted to own a real estate company as well. I do both. And that's something that was just always innate. But I didn't know what to do. So I just kept working through life, getting jobs and doing things in the hopes that someday I could do that. If I was to go back in time and talk to the young Chris of that age, I would say, and this is for parents as well to understand this, focus on what you love. What do you enjoy? Now, if it's just because you need to raise some money, then a lemonade stand is a fantastic way to go. Selling candies at in certain areas is if you go to a specific mall or something like that, you could do anything just to raise money. If you want to do that, that's fine. When I was there was a time I was actually back home in Tahoe, and I was driving around the lake. And I had to slam on the brakes and turn around. There was this little girl had a lemonade stand on the side of the road. And I went back and, for me, of course, I'm going to stop. She's a young entrepreneur. And so I went back there and I'm talking with her dad. And I'm like, man, this is so cool. I'm so glad that you allow her to do this. He goes, oh, it wasn't me. She was doing this. She was going to do this. And I said, really? He's like, oh, yeah, man. She wanted to do this. I said, what was it that she wanted to do? And he goes, here's the funny thing, Chris. He said, she picked this spot specifically because of the high traffic of runners and bikers. And she kept saying to me, Dad, those people need lemonade. They need to have something. And it's a business. The girl is there. So she went from lemonade to lemonade and cookies, lemonade to cookies, and, like lemon bars and all this stuff that she's got at this stand. And all these runners and bikers know that she's there. And her dad's there kicking back, doing what he's doing. And she is making money. And in her mind, she's doing the most important thing of an entrepreneur, helping people. She didn't go into it thinking, oh, I just want to make $1. She actually had the concept, how can I help these folks who look like they probably need some refreshments? And so that is, it's understanding that. What is it? What is your desire? How do you want to help people with it? If you can take your desire, there's an author, you may have read it. I know you're very well read, Ella. There's an author from way back when, his name's Frederick Buechner, and he said, this is summarizing what he said, your passion in life, the thing that you're really super excited for, where that meets the world's need, that's your calling. And so if you can take that thing that you love and how does it help people, that's a great place to start with your entrepreneurism.
Wow, that's amazing. I really hope that little girl does well.
Oh,
So a lot of kids, don't like school. How would you, suggest they get through that so they can have a good life and be an entrepreneur?
Oh, school is a funny thing for me. I never cared for school. And the reason why is because I was bored. I am somebody who was always honor roll. I never had homework because I would get it done in the next class. So I was just bored. And a lot of it had to do with my personality style and the fact that I wasn't focused on other things that kids were focused on. I was like, this is something I got to do, get it done. So I get it done, I go home, and I'm like, okay, well, I have all afternoon when everybody else has to work in a couple hours worth of homework. The thing that I came to understand later on in life was vital, and that is school is great to learn how to learn. So let me say that again. School is great it teaches you how to learn, how to continue learning in life. So it's not that it's like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to use these things. There's a lot of stuff I haven't used later on in life. But there's so many things that it helped me to say, okay, what do I do with this situation? What do I do here? How do I learn and research this? I mean, gosh, in school you learn how to research. That's what you do. I mean, when you're learning how to do different subjects you have to bring in your homework. You have to figure out the processes. You have to use your mind to process through situations. You have to deal with people. Some people are great. Some people are terrible. You have to deal with authority. There's all kinds of things that help you to learn to learn. Well, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, that's vital. If you're not constantly learning as an entrepreneur, there's an old saying, if you're not constantly growing, you're constantly dying. Well, part of that is you personally. You have to grow yourself. So to kids that are bored or don't care much for school, it's not the rest of your life. You take advantage of the situation, learn to learn how to deal with these situations, and ask yourself, how is this going to help me in the future?
So one of the things I'd like to know is, how do you get a kid to, be interested in being a leader? Because some kids just don't have the inclination.
Right. The first thing you have to understand is what leadership actually is. Leadership is one of the most misunderstood concepts, at least in this country, I can tell you that, and probably on the planet as well. Leadership isn't a title. Leadership isn't a position. Leadership is literally getting people to follow you. So one thing, as I'm teaching adults, or as I'm teaching business leaders or owners or team members, one of the things I always say when it comes to leadership is, if you think you're a leader, do yourself a favor, turn around. If nobody's behind you following you, then by definition, you're not a leader. So the first concept you have to get is, what is leadership? If I can't lead you into doing something, I'm not leading. And what happens in the business world, somebody will get a position and they'll get a title and they will tell people what to do. And in their minds, that's leadership. Ella, I want you to do this. This is what you're supposed to be doing, and I'm expecting that you do this. Well, would you like to work for that kind of a leader?
Definitely not.
Okay, because why? It doesn't excite you. It doesn't influence you. It doesn't get you focused on your day in a happy way. Instead, it's somebody who's what we call a dictator. I'm dictating to you what you're going to do. Well, what I've experienced in all the years of leading people is that type of quote-unquote leadership, as I do my air quotes, that type of leadership actually causes people to drop their performance up to 50%. So literally, if I'm telling you, Ella, this is what you're supposed to be doing, where's the excitement? Where's the enthusiasm? And so you don't actually go after and tackle that thing with that same excitement. So that's the first concept. You have to understand what leadership actually is. It's me getting you to do something in a way that works, not telling you to do it. If I can get you to follow me, then you'll continue to follow me. I will get your loyalty. I will get your respect. I'll even get ownership of things from you. So I will get you to be part of owning mentally what it is that we're trying to accomplish. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, you have to understand leadership, again, doesn't require a position. You can lead anybody from any position. So as a kid, the concept is, well, I can't lead anybody. I'm a kid. It doesn't take, you don't have to be an adult to lead. You don't have to be over somebody to lead. You lead by bringing people along in a process. So it's like telling you, I know you're very well read. I know you love great stories. That author, who's your favorite author? If you were to just pick one.
Probably Rick Riordan.
Okay. does Rick do a great job of pulling you along as you're reading?
Yes, he does.
Okay, he's leading you to a place. So the concept is not, he's not telling you this is where you're going to go, Ella. He's saying, Ella, walk with me. Let me paint a picture. Let me show you. Let me give you mental pictures as I go along with the words that I'm using. And it gets you to a place where you're like, this has been enjoyable. This has been exciting. Well, that's the concept with leadership. So as a kid, it's not a matter of telling people what to do. Bring them along with you with whatever it takes. If it's using stories, if it's using getting them interested and excited about something, pull them along. That's what leadership is.
So, what message do you have for the parents that are listening? What do you think a parent's main job is?
Well, okay, so that's a fantastic question. I think for me, I believe parents a lot of times don't understand what their job truly is. And obviously parenting is multifaceted. But for me, I have a few beliefs, and that one is it is not your job to raise kids. It's not your job to raise children. It's your job to raise adults. So you're 13, you're going to be, 5 years from now, you're out possibly on your own, going to college. If I'm your dad and I don't do a great job preparing you for what that's going to be like, that is, in my mind, that's me failing. I'm losing the opportunity. My job is to get you prepared, train you, raise you as an adult so that when you go out into society, you're not somebody who's constantly, your mom talks about the helicopter parents, I'm not constantly in your life and making sure life is good and that you're taking care of and all that. You don't want that as a parent. My job is to release you, to let you go. And if I've done a great job raising you to be an adult, now you're 13, I shouldn't be making you 18. I need to do a great job with where you are. I don't want you to grow up too fast and now you become what's called a parentified child. I want you to grow in with reference to how old you are at the time. But I don't need to hold you back. I'm not raising kids. Another thing is that I'm a believer, and I absolutely believe that I am not my parents' child solely. I believe that I'm God's kid first. God talks about how he knit us together in our mother's wombs, that he's the one who created us. He's the one who had the whole plan. This isn't our story. We're part of his story. So with that concept, it's vital for people to understand that if I understand that God is my father well more than my dad is, that God's my mother well more than my mother is, that he's my ultimate parent, then it changes the relationship some, and it actually takes a lot of stress off of parents. So it is a parent's job to point their kids to God as their ultimate parent. When you do that, guess what you get to do? Make failures. You get to, do things wrong. And when your kids understand that God is ultimately their parent, then when you mess up, you can be honest with your kids. Hey, listen, I messed this up. I've made mistakes. I'm sorry. But here's how God wants this to happen. Here's how, so on and so forth. So it's an ultimate job to point your kids to him. It doesn't mean that you stop being a parent. Your role is to manage your kids for God. They're still your kids, but your job is to manage them. And I go back to thinking of when Joseph and Mary left Jesus. They take off and they left their kid. What do you do? They come back and they're searching all over the place. And when Mary finds Jesus, she's, frantic, and he looks at her and he goes, "Woman, how did you not know that I would be at my Father's house?" Now, here is a child who truly understands that the woman standing in front of him is not his ultimate parent. One, he called her woman. He didn't like, "Mom, I can't believe you left me." Where was he? He was in his Father's house, learning, growing. I want kids to have that understanding. I want them to look at me as their parents. I want them to know that I am their parent, but I also want them to have a really good connection with God. So as a parent, it's your job to raise adults, make them prepared for society, because society is tough, it's difficult, and understand that you've got to point them to God.
So thank you, Chris, for being with us here today. This is Smart Kids on Demand.